and I'll be taking the uh, class 12th bio syllabus. And according to the syllabus for the 12th standard biology, the first chapter is the reproduction in the organism. Now, before going to look into the chapter, first of all, we have to recall and revise what we have already read about the reproduction in our earlier classes. As you all are well aware that the reproduction is nothing but it is a process which is being performed by the living world or that is the living organism, with the help of which they are able to produce their own kind. Now the question arises, what is the need and the necessity of performing this process by the living organism? The need or the necessity to perform this process is because for the perpetuation of the race of its own kind. Now again the question arises, what is the need or the necessity for the perpetuation of the race of the living world? As you are well aware that the nature exists, persists with the help of its two components, that is the living and the non-living component. Unless and until if both the components are not existing in this scenario, the nature is not going to persist, it is not going to exist. Therefore, it becomes necessary that the living world has to be there for the existence of the nature. And how it is possible? It is possible only when the living organism, some or the other way, are able to produce their own kind, and the process is called the reproduction. The another importance of the reproduction or the necessity or the need is for bringing out the variation, to input of the variation in the generation. Again the question arises, why? Why there is to be need of variation in the generation of the living world, that is the living organism? The answer of the question is that it is the variation with the help of which the generation, the individual of the generation, they will be able to combat the environmental scenario, environmental factors existing at that particular time. If it is not so, the individuals of that particular generation, they will not be able to compact with the environmental factor, and thus the nature will wipe them off, and ultimately the balance in the nature will get disturbed. So this is the reason that the organism, they have to reproduce, that is they have to produce their own kind. Moving ahead, our next topic is that what are the various ways by which the organism reproduce? Now, before going to discuss about this, first of all, we have to take up the answer of the question that is the method, that is the reproduction, is similar, performed by all the organism? The answer of the question is no. Again, we arise a question, why? The answer of the question is that because of structural organization. As we have already read in the 11th standard, with respect to the structural organization, the plants, the animals, and other members of the kingdom suggested by the R.H. Whittaker, that organism, they have been classified, they have been differentiated on the basis of the structural organization, that is the unicellular forms and the multicellular forms. So obviously, when the organism are having this different structural organization, so it becomes very much clear that this method cannot be performed in the same manner, in the similar way by all the living world. So the living organism, they take up two methods, either of, to reproduce. One is the asexual reproduction and the other is the sexual reproduction. Now we'll take up the asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction means it is a type of reproduction where the organism, that is the parent individual, produces its own kind. If we emphasize on the word asexual, it consists of two parts, the that is without, sexual, that is the involvement of the sexes. So it means asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction where there is no involvement of the individuals differentiating with respect to the sexes, that is the male and the female. Now the question arises, how it is possible that the organism who are performing the asexual reproduction are able to produce their own kind? To get the answer of the question, we have to recall what we have read in the chapter in the 11th standard, cell division and the cell cycle, that we have gone through that the cell is self-capable of producing its own kind. And they perform two methods, that is the mitosis and meiosis. So here the parent individual is dividing itself into two daughter cells or the daughter individuals. Binary fission is one of the method of asexual reproduction. And it is very similar to what we have read with respect to the mitotic division of the cell. In the binary fission, the parent individual splits into two daughter new individuals. Here I have been mentioning about the parent individual. So I must clarify here that in the asexual reproduction, we never used to mention the male parent and the female parent. The reason is that the parent organism is a unicellular form, that is a single-celled organism. So when we are stating that it is a single cell, hope so, you are well versed, you are well aware that the cell cannot be differentiated, cannot be named as a parent cell or a female cell, a male cell or a female cell. So that is why I have been mentioning the parent organism or the parent individual. So in binary fission, the parent individual splits into two, and in this two process takes place. One is karyokinesis followed by the cytokinesis. Karyokinesis, that is, the parental nuclei has to be split before the parental body splits into two daughter individuals. Now the question arises, why so? This is because unless and until if the genetic material is not being transferred to each and every individual, daughter individuals, they are not going to exist in the nature. So therefore, the transferring of the genetic material becomes necessary. So, at the time of the binary fission, first of all, within the parent individual, the splitting of the nucleus takes place. And no sooner the nuclear material is about to split, it is about to divide, the parent body splits into two daughter cells. And this type of the process is being performed by the certain organisms, that is basically the unicellular forms, such as the amoeba, the paramecium, the bacteria. The next type of the asexual reproduction performed by the simple organism is the multiple fission that we'll discuss later on. Thank you.